Hello again, and welcome to the series finale of preparation for Google Certified Educator Level 1. Please take a moment and register at the URL you see on the screen, or you can simply scan the QR code right there. My name is Brett Petrillo. I am, in fact, a Google Certified Educator. I am also a Google Certified Trainer. You can find me on Twitter at Brett Petrillo or visit my website, brettpetrillo.com. This is the final episode or the final session of preparation. This is the first level of training. You must take the exam afterwards. The exam costs $10, and when you do, you get this fancy badge that you see here on your screen, and you can include it in any of your publications to show the world that you have the skills required to become a Google Certified Educator. You can register for the exam at edutrainingcenter.withgoogle.com. I also recommend you check out this website for the plethora of information and content and training that the site itself, Google, provides you there. So if you haven't done so already, I highly recommend you go to this website and take a look around. Last week, we took a look at Google Sites and specifically how to create a site, how to customize your site to look and feel the way you want, adding elements to the site, and adjusting permissions. We also took a look at the new sites versus the old, or as Google refers, the classic sites. And after that, we explored Google Keep. We looked how we could manage our lists and manage notes that we put into Google Keep. And we also explored the Chrome extension, which really makes Google Keep that much more beneficial on your desktop. Today, session 11, or the series finale, we're going to explore digital citizenship. This is very important to Google, and we will talk about the significance of digital citizenship, and I will share with you a whole lot of resources you can use when teaching students about digital citizenship. After that, we are going to get right into exam review, where I will discuss or outline in point form the content that we covered in the 10 prior sessions. So in essence, giving you a whole list of topics that we've gone through and giving you a framework from which to study if you wish. Google believes that there are two foundations of good citizenship, and that is respect and protect. Similarly, they feel there are three pillars of digital responsibility. Those are copyright and fair use, online safety, and communication. As teachers and adults, we realize the importance of being a good citizen no matter where we are, just being a good person. Now, with the development of such digital technology and the amount of time they're spending interacting with each other in the digital world, it becomes all the more important that we stress in our schools that it is also important to be a good citizen in the digital world. Now, not only do we have to be a good person in the physical world, but we have to remember to instill in our students that it is equally important to be a good citizen in the digital world. Now, many schools are doing a great job at this, but what Google would like to see is continuous improvement, which is why digital citizenship has become such an important part in achieving your Google Certified Educator Level 1. Google wants to know that if you're using their technology, you are also taking on the responsibility of educating our students and helping to develop them into responsible digital citizens. Nowadays, many schools are developing policies aimed at protecting students and creating positive digital citizens. These policies can go by the names of acceptable use agreements or e-use agreements or digital citizenship agreements, but in essence, they're all the same, and they all have the common goal of protecting students and creating positive, safe environments for students to use and interact in the digital world. Now, you may have something like this at your school, or your school may be developing a policy like this. If not, you could maybe take it upon yourself to start the conversation. And if you go to the edutrainingcenter.withgoogle.com, you will see that there are some examples set up there, given to you by Common Sense Media, also by Andrew Churches at Ed Origami. Also, the Southwest Grid for Learning, they have some policy templates there to guide you if you are in the process of developing a digital citizenship policy. In the same conversation, it's important that we as the adults, as the educators, instill in our students the notion or the reality that the internet is not a private space, and that's what students do online is permanent. This is called the digital footprint, and when students or anybody are interacting online or are posting material, they are leaving bits of information that will be there forever. Now, I know students don't often think about this. This is why they need us as educators to guide this conversation. And unfortunately, because of the ease of communicating online and the anonymity that sometimes comes with that, the internet and the digital world can be a hotbed for bullying. Now, we need to help instill in our students a resiliency so that if they do come across an atmosphere of bullying, or if they are a victim of bullying themselves, that they know what to do. And an example of what we can tell our students is in these situations that they don't respond, that they don't retaliate, that they document it, they block the person that's bothering them or bullying them online, and that they report it immediately to an adult. Now, this isn't to say that in every situation a student online is at risk. However, we need to be able to prepare our students so that when things go wrong or when things get difficult and they are faced with a cyberbully, that they are able to deal, or they are prepared to deal with it the way they need to. And this all leads to us as the educators, as the adults, creating an environment where students feel comfortable and safe talking to adults. We need to have positive conversations about digital citizenship and about online behavior, and our youth need to feel comfortable speaking with adults about what they're coming across in the digital world. The idea of taking somebody's work or somebody's idea and putting it out there as if it was our own, well, that just seems wrong. And I believe, generally speaking, most people understand that it's wrong in the physical world. However, with the shift to the digital world, I think sometimes our students and us as educators as well forget that the same rules apply. Google has done a wonderful job building into their apps the tools needed to properly cite and reference and search for usable images and text and ideas. Now, we as educators must also not forget that this must be part of our digital citizenship program at the school level. We must understand Creative Commons. We must understand usage rights and what we do and do not have the right to use, and what are the requirements or the conditions in which I can use something. And we must remember that we have to give credit where credit is due. Like I said earlier, this, I think, is understood more or less in the physical world, but we can't forget that digital ideas, digital property, we also must remember that the same rules apply. Another skill that we can't forget about is the ability to identify truthful information, and then likewise the ability to identify something that is a hoax or a scam or not truthful online. Now, this is especially true these days when our social media feeds and digital information is being flooded or is already flooded with information that I would classify as clickbait, which means it's sensationalist trying to get you to click on it. We need to instill in our students the ability to identify what is true and what is not. And there are several ways to do this, but I like the rule of three. Now, this means that you compare 3 different sources before you come up or form a judgment on whether or not something you're reading or something that you're seeing is in fact true. Now, the rule of 3 is something that we can easily instill in our schools and in our classrooms. Also, another tool or another strategy is to look at the domain extension. You can learn a lot about the source of the information based on the extension. Now, extensions like .edu or .org, which stands for organization, and edu stands for education, these are trustworthy domain extensions. Now, .com is a commercial license or a business. It's for commerce. The idea that you can tell a lot from the domain extension. But ultimately, we want our young digital citizens to have the ability to filter through the content, the information that is out there on the web, and to have the skills necessary to be able to make sound judgments for themselves. Unfortunately, this day and age, it's virtually impossible to maintain 100% privacy and also interact in the digital world. However, we can educate our students to the dangers and the risks of limited privacy, and we can teach them about what it means to be posting images and what it means to be putting up private information such as phone numbers and addresses and the dangers of doing so. We can also educate our students with passwords and the ability to manage those passwords. And what Google would say is start young. Now, if students are logging in the younger grades, perhaps in grade 1 or 2, often teachers will give the same password for each student. And this is okay for the younger grades. But as they get older, they should definitely begin creating and managing their own passwords to educate them or to instill in them the importance of strong passwords. You can also make it easy for them by collecting their password and having a document on hand where you can store their password for them. It can be difficult for young students to remember their password, and they may often forget, but we can make it easier for them by keeping that record as the adult or the teacher in the room. And as they become more familiar with passwords, we should also instill in them the belief that they should not share their passwords with anyone. And the consequences of somebody knowing their password could be devastating in terms of somebody logging in as that person and pretending to be that person online. So privacy definitely needs to be a discussion when you are navigating the digital world. There's a whole lot to talk about with regards to digital citizenship. Fortunately, there have been several organizations out there that have developed curriculum for our schools, parents, teachers, and students alike. And I'm going to just get out of this slideshow right here. I'm going to share some things with you. Now, this is a resource put out by the Australian government called Stay Smart Online. And this one specifically talks about suspicious messaging, scams, how to identify scams, and you can scroll through there. This is a resource that you will also find on the edutrainingcenter.withgoogle.com. So there is a good resource put out there, Stay Smart Online. Another one right here by the Southwest Grid for Learning. This is the digital literacy and citizenship information right here. And you can see as I scroll down, they've developed a whole scope and sequence starting at year 1 and going all the way up to year 10. And they talk about such things as internet safety, privacy, communications, cyberbullying, all of the things that we need to be talking about in our schools with regards to digital citizenship. Also, here's another one. This one is called In Control, or the provider here is In Control. And this is all about teaching digital citizenship. And it's searchable. You can look for lesson topics by subject, look for resources, and they have a plethora of information out there for you as well. And my favorite is this one right here. This is put out there by Common Sense Education, which is a division of Common Sense Media. They too have also put out a scope and sequence, which can be downloaded right here by clicking the button. But you see that I can look at K through 2. There's a few units there, or 3 through 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12. So an entire scope and sequence starting in kindergarten and finishing in the 12th grade. And they deal with topics such as self-image, relationships, the digital footprint, cyberbullying, information literacy, internet safety, privacy, and creative credit and copyright. All of the things that Google is big on as far as instilling the values of digital citizenship within our students. So I recommend highly that you go to one of these resources or all of them and look for information. And these sites can be a huge positive impact on your classroom environment and on your quest to create healthy, positive, safe digital citizens. All right, let's take the next little bit and review what we've covered in the 10 sessions prior to this one. If you go all the way back to session 1, we discussed Chrome at chrome.google.com, and we took a look at the settings in Chrome and the bookmarks and tabs and how we can move the tabs around and manage our bookmarks. We talked about the Omnibox and how it can do a lot more than just search, how you can do math problems and conversions and etc. We explored incognito and how that's a great way for you to save any information or protect any information that you are inputting onto a computer. We navigated the Chrome web store looking for apps and extensions, and we found out how to add profiles to Chrome so that you can have more than one account registered with Chrome and therefore able to open up several accounts. In session 2, we explored Google Classroom and Gmail. With Classroom, we learned how to add students to a classroom, both by inviting them and giving them a code. We learned how to put up content so that our students could see it. We learned how to keep guardians or parents updated with email updates. And we learned about the stream and how we can organize the stream by categorizing our posts into topics. We also learned how we can differentiate by giving different students different assignments based on need, potentially. In Gmail, there were a ton of settings that we went through. We also more closely looked at labels and how we can label incoming email and filter out incoming email. We looked at how we can have multiple accounts. We can check mail from multiple accounts, all within the same Gmail account. We looked at how we can chat and have video hangouts right from within Gmail, and we explored labs, which are also found in Calendar, but we looked at them in Gmail, and we looked at the app that you can download, which allows you to access Gmail offline, and that's accessed through the Chrome Web Store. In session 3, we talked all about Google Docs, and we focused on formatting of the doc and the ins and outs of comments and how we can email comments to individuals. We explored fairly deeply how we can set the different sharing options and how we can insert tables right into the doc, and that included a whole lot of formatting as well. We explored how we can insert or display columns in our Google Doc, and how we can automatically have footnotes inserted at the bottom of the page with different types of formatting, for example, APA or MLA. We then explored Explore, which is down in the bottom right-hand corner and allows you to search right from within your doc. And then we created a table of contents automatically by formatting our headers to be subheadings or main headings, that type of thing. In session 4, we got into Google Sheets, and we took a look at how we can format a Google Sheet so that it doesn't just look all boring and the such. We explored the basic formulas as far as sum and average and max and min. We looked at how we can sort the data in different columns and how we can create charts from the data that is there in your Google Sheet. The unique function we took a look at there and how we can find a unique data given a certain set, and the count if function, which allows us to count how many of a certain criteria we have. And then again, just like in Docs, the Explore feature is in Google Sheets, which gives us a lot of automatic suggestions and allows us to insert charts right from Explore. And then in session 5, it was all about Google Forms. Google Forms have a few settings that we looked at and formatting options, but perhaps more importantly or more significantly, the quizzing feature that allows educators to create forms that are automatically graded by the app itself. We looked at or discussed branching and how you can have your respondent go to a certain section of your form based on the answer that they provided. So, for example, if they answered incorrectly, you could direct them to a part of your form where they would receive added support. And then once they got the question correct, they could then be redirected to where they should be in the first place. We looked at sharing and how Forms is different in that you can add collaborators, but when you share the form, it's actually sending the form out so that people can fill it in. And we took a look at data and how the data can be used in connection with Google Sheets and how you can view that data right there. And we just discussed some cool ideas that some teachers are doing as well. In session 6, we got into Google Slides and Drawings. In Slides, we went over all the tools and settings. We also explored the themes and layouts that you can get. So there are some options that you have there. I also explained my favorite feature of Google Slides, which is the audience tools and how we can get our audience to interact with you as the speaker by asking questions. And you can also answer those questions all on the computer while you're presenting. I love that tool, the audience tools. And Slides also has Explore, so we talked about that a little bit. In Google Drawings, we went through the settings, and we took a look at what you can create in terms of flowcharts and different ideas. We looked at importing different images and the such into Google Drawings, and then again, just some cool ideas that teachers are doing with Google Drawings. In session 7, it was all about Hangouts, Google Hangouts. And after that, we discussed Drive. Google Hangouts has 2 different kinds. The text hangout, we explored the notifications that you can get and how you can set those notifications in the text hangout variety. And we also explored the history and archiving feature that you get there with the text hangout. In video hangouts, we got into how you can start one and how you can invite people to it. And also a neat little feature called screen sharing, how you can share one of your screens to your audience or the members of the Hangout so that they can see that. Then in Drive, we discussed my most important tip, which is about organization. Keeping your Drive organized, I think, is one of the most important things you can remember with Google Drive. And then we got into how Drive can handle non-Google files and how you can also convert them into Google files fairly easily. And again, just like we did in Docs, we talked about sharing, and we enabled the offline access mode that allows you to access your Google Drive without having internet access. In session 8, we talked about Google Calendar and how to create calendars, how to put events into that calendar, and a neat little feature, we can add attachments or files right from the Drive into the event that we've put onto this calendar, which could be a great thing to do if you're sharing a calendar with your parent community, for example, and you want to provide more information about that event. We talked about sending invites to your calendar and how you can share your calendar and how you can subscribe to other people's calendars, maybe coworkers, or if you want to subscribe to your favorite sports team. We also looked at how you can set your notifications and how Calendar works hand in hand with Mail as well as Hangouts. And Calendar also has labs, which we also saw in Gmail. In session 9, we looked at Google Groups and YouTube, which is also Google. In Groups, we learned how to create a group and the different permissions that you get when creating your group. We discussed how we can add members to the group and how we can communicate with the group via email. In YouTube, we discussed the searching options we have and the difference between playlists and channels, and how you can share content right from YouTube. You can share it via email or a plethora of social media outlets. We looked at resources, or the different resources you can get at YouTube EDU. Great stuff out there for educators. And then quickly we talked about creating content and how you can take that next level by posting or creating your own videos and putting them up to YouTube. And last week, we discussed Google Sites and Google Keep. With Google Sites, we looked at the new Google Sites specifically in creating a site and how to customize that site, how to make it look and feel the way you want it to, and how to add different elements like images and YouTube videos and text boxes and links and all that, how to add that to your website and the different permissions you get there. We also quickly went over the old or the classic sites and took a look at some of the differences that you get there when compared to the new sites. And those differences will be important to remember when you're finally taking your Certified Educator Level 1 exam. With Google Keep, we talked about managing lists and adding and managing your notes and that ever handy Chrome extension that you get in the Chrome Web Store. And last but most definitely not least in the series finale, we talked about digital citizenship, and I gave you a whole lot of resources and things to think about there with regards to creating safe and responsible digital citizens. That brings us to the end of our series. I want to thank all of you for watching, and if you've made it through all of the sessions, thank you very much for your support. Please keep in touch and let me know how it goes when you finally end up taking the exam, and I will look forward to welcoming you to the Google Certified Educator group. Again, my name is Brett Petrillo, and thank you very much for watching. And please visit my website, brettpetrillo.com, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Twitter. Thanks again, and I'll see you in some future video.